Hello everyone. In this video, I want to talk about some vocabularies that you probably have been seeing in the news lately, which is, of course, it's about the Hong Kong protest 2019. Um, I am going to teach you some of the vocabularies that you have seen so far. Please note that I am going to not allow any of the comments in this section just to prevent any like political comments or whatsoever, because in this video I'm trying to be neutral, where I'm just here to teach you the vocab and nothing else. Okay, let's get started. So now let's first talk about the normal vocab. Some of the things that you would hear in other news that is not particularly pointing towards this particular protest. So the first one that I want to teach you is yao hang. Yao hang. Now what this means, it means demonstrations. The second one is man ju. Man ju. Now this word means democracy. So there's like the party of democracy, for instance. This is actually called in Cantonese Man Ju Dong. Now, this is actually two-character word. The first word, man, actually means the citizens. And the second word, ju, means control. So in this means, it means like the citizens control. That's what they have as a word in democracy in Cantonese. Now the next one, you probably hear it more often in this particular event than the other ones from before. And this word is 清场. 清场. And what this means is it means to clear a particular area. So, for example, if there is a riot or conflict breaking out in an area, and the police raise a flag or whatsoever, and then they need to clear the area, we call this 清场. 清场. Now the next word, sometimes we hear this in the news recently, and this is 暴徒. 暴徒. And what this means, it means that it's mob, like or a group of people that tries to create chaos. So 暴徒 means mob in Cantonese. Next one is 毆打. 毆打. And this is actually a verb that means to beat up. 毆打, to beat up. Now, this one, I haven't really heard it that often before, but this is actually um, a term that you would hear a lot in this recent event, and that is 衝擊. 衝擊. And that just means an assault or an attack. So you will often hear in the news either the police is 衝擊 the protesters, or the protesters are 衝擊 the police. Um, this is the word just for assault. Now, next word, 禁制令. 禁制令. Is a word that you probably heard from the incident at the airport most recently. This is just filing an injunction for people not to do something. So actually, For example, even like let's say you got domestic violence, um, the court might issue an injunction towards a particular side of the spouse, like the husband or the wife, right, to not visit each other. So they would also issue an injunction, which is "cấm zai lệnh" in Cantonese. So now on to the specific vocabularies that you probably only seen um, starting really recently since June. Now, the first ones, this is very simple, these two, which is white shirt and black shirt. And I guess I don't really need to explain this because you've seen many um, black shirt people in the television recently, and you probably have seen white shirt people in in the news for several occasions as well. So for white shirt in Cantonese is ba sam ba sam, and the word for black shirt in Cantonese is ha sam ha sam. Now, this word is actually meant the Hong Kong independence movement. And how do we pronounce this? We pronounce this as gong do, gong do. Now, Hong Kong independence is a movement that advocates Hong Kong becoming an independent sovereign state. As you can see in the flag, in the banner that somebody's holding in the picture below, it's actually displayed as four words instead of two. Now, this is actually just a longer version of it. So, in the banner it says "香港獨立," which is "香港," of course, it means "香港," which is Hong Kong, and "獨立" means independence. So we took the middle of those two words, and then we created the new word, which is "gong do," "gong do," which means Hong Kong independence. Now, if you watch Cantonese YouTube about these protests, or if you go to like forums, if you actually are at that level of Cantonese, you go to forums like HK Golden or LIHKG, you would see this term a lot, and that is "hắc警," "hắc警," which means corrupted cops in Cantonese. And the other one that you would hear this a lot in the news most recently is "警民衝突," "警民衝突," which means clashes between citizens and the police. So the word "警" means police. As I said in previous videos, 警察 is the name for police, but in a lot of terms we shorten this to just the first word, which is 警. Man, as I've said earlier, it means citizen, and 衝突 means clashing. Now, this is no surprise. If you've seen in the news, it's almost everywhere, where you've seen in videos and pictures where people are raising the banners as the picture that I've shown right here. So now what does this mean, right? Well, in Cantonese, this is pronounced as "Fan Song Zhong," "Fan Song Zhong." Now, what it means in this particular uh, um, the context, it means they are going against the anti like they're not, well, they're going against the extradition bill. So this whole term means anti-extradition bill. However, though, let's look at the behind the scenes meaning. So, in a sense, the word "song zhong" actually means to send off someone, mostly people who passed away. And that word isn't even written that way. So as you've seen in this particular term, the last word "zhong" is actually taken from the first Chinese character of China, but it's same sounding as the word "end." So as you've seen at the bottom of this screen right here, the sound is the same. Like the first word of China, 中国, is the same as the word "end," 中, in Cantonese. So what happened is, in Cantonese we play with the sounds a lot, and so that's why we change this into the first word of China to replace that, to play with the words. So in this sense, it's more or less against in sending people back to China, which is what the anti-extradition bill message is. Now, this is very a long one, and sometimes you do see this in a lot of those. Some of the politicians usually say this in the news, and in Cantonese it says 光復香港時代革命，光復香港時代革命. It means to restore Hong Kong to its glory and to commit to a revolution of the times. And this message is being used by some of the politicians currently in Hong Kong. Now, this one in Cantonese is 外國勢力, 外國勢力. And what it means foreign power in Cantonese. So the words 外國 means foreign countries and 勢力 means power. And in the context, it usually means the countries with those flags I've shown in the screen. Now this word is you're probably familiar with this before too, especially probably almost yearly you probably heard about this term, and in Cantonese it reads 解放軍, 解放軍. And what it is the PRC Liberation Army in Cantonese. Now, if you're familiar with, very casual conversation of Cantonese, we do have a lot of short forms of words, and this one is is another short form. Um, in Cantonese, we pronounce this as lam bo, lam bo. And what this means, it means excess use of violence. And it's basically a short form of actually four Chinese words, and it's a combination of um, uh, uh, two sets of words put together. So the first one, the first word, lam, it's actually taken from the word lam yong, which is means the excess use. And the second word, bow, actually is taken from the phrase bow leg, bow leg, which means violence in Cantonese. And when they put those together, lam bo means the short form for excess use of violence. Now this is what one of the statements that they want as a wish list from the protest of the Hong Kong police. And in Cantonese, it's pronounced "Dok La Diu Cha," "Dok La Diu Cha," which means independent investigation in Cantonese. Now, you probably heard of her name a lot now in the news, probably daily, quite a few times daily. And it's this is the short form of her name. Like you probably heard about the short form than the long form, but I'll actually give you the pronunciation for both in this case. So the short form is Lam Zhang, Lam Zhang, and this is the short form name of the current chief executive of Hong Kong, Carrie Lam. Now, as you know, in Chinese, our family name comes first, and then our given name. So in this case, you see that in the full name, she got four words. However, though, the first two are actually family names. So the first the first character is the Lam is actually uh, the family name after she got married. So as you can see, her English name Carrie Lam, that's now her much official first name, or family name, sorry. And then the second one, Zhang, is actually the family name that she of her like of initial family name when she is was born. So before she married. So the short form for the Carrie Lam, Lam Zhang, is actually just the family names of her. Now, her full name is actually pronounced Lam Zhang Yut Ngo. Lam Zhang Yut Ngo, which Yut Ngo is actually her given name, and Lam Zhang is her family names. Now, the last five vocabs I wanted to teach in this video is the rules that are being abide by the protesters. Um, and these are the five rules that they are stating right now, and some of these actually are new terms. So the first one is "but got zek," "but got zek." Now, this is an you might see that the pronunciation might be different because this is actually the lazy tone. The official tone is actually "but got zek," "but got zek." Now, what this means is it means that they would not settle. And this is a very, very new term to this whole event. The second one is 不指責, 不指責, and this means would not criticize. The third one is 不受傷, 不受傷, and that means don't get hurt. And the fourth one is 不被捕, 不被捕. And what this means is it means to not get arrested. And the last one, which is actually another very, very new term that um, is created very recently, is bắt tục phui, bắt tục phui, and that means don't won't betray each other. Now, as I've said earlier, this video is a very, very objective, non-opinionated video in just teaching the vocab that you have seen surrounding these current events. I hope this would actually aid you in reading the news, in looking at the different videos, because I do see and hear a lot of very, very distinctive terminologies that are created for this event. So even a lot of people that are born in Hong Kong, such as myself, these terms are very much new. These are actually created, like some of these are actually created starting from the onset of the event that's happening right now. And as I said earlier, I do hope that we could keep these conversations very non-opinionated. So if you have questions about these terms, I will try my best to answer those. But this video is, at least the comment section, will not be for to express political opinions. So I try to keep this for asking on the Cantonese terminology and pronunciation only. I hope you find this video helpful. I'll see you in the other videos.